happy to be here.
Yeah, so these are DeadMeat fans. So they are horror fans. They have probably seen a lot of your other work, like It Follows, or The Guest, or Watcher. All fantastic films. So clearly, you know, you're experienced in the genre, but what's different about Longlegs and the role that you play here as opposed to all those other roles in films?
I feel like when I read this script for the first time, there were things that felt very nostalgic, brought me back to movies like Silence of the Lambs and Seven, and yet it felt completely brand new, and I think when you watch this movie, you will see what I mean.
Yeah, actually, you had a really good comparison, speaking of Silence of the Lambs, with this, comparing like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and X.
Oh, yeah, so the way I see this movie is, like, yes, it reminds me so much of Silence of the Lambs, but it is kind of like X is to Texas Chainsaw what this is to Silence. We're like, this is a totally different thing. And, you know, we were talking a little before this about just other inspirations besides maybe the obvious, you know, Clarice kind of character. What other characters or actresses were you maybe inspired by for this movie?
Obviously, Silence of the Lambs was an inspiration, but I think more just as the film as a whole. Sort of randomly, I don't know if you guys have seen Dragon Tattoo, but Rooney Mara in that, I had watched it recently before reading the script for the first time, and I read it, I was just like, felt like there were so many similarities. Just sort of how they're maybe uncomfortable in normal life and holding normal conversations and social life, and then feeling very comfortable in these, like, you know, solving crimes and looking at gruesome crime photos. So that was kind of a fun thing to sort of add into the role.
Yeah, you don't often get to see women be portrayed as such intense introverts, not people, not a person, I guess. You know, she is very comfortable, you know, interacting with things and her own thoughts. And I think, you know, as an introvert and as someone who is very at home, reading, staying inside, I think doing puzzles, if you're a puzzle person, you'll feel very represented here by your character.
Yeah, you did mention when we were chatting, though, that you are a horror fan, because not all...
Massive.
Yeah, so not all horror fans like to watch the genre, but you were saying that, like me, you've been a fan since you were a kid. You weren't allowed to share all the movies that you liked with your friends at the time. What are some of your favorite horror movies that you had growing up?
Oh, I love Nightmare on Elm Street. I remember seeing it for the first time, and what I thought was so brilliant is that the monster comes to you in your sleep. So it's just like, I was like, oh, I can't sleep then. I can't, because then I'm, you know, gonna be murdered. So yeah, that was one that still stuck with me.
And have you seen any of Oz's previous films before working on this? Okay.
Yes, I mean, he's insanely talented. I think that was a huge part of wanting to do this and you know, understanding his taste and style and bringing that into this, so yes.
Yeah, Osgood Perkins, writer and director, yep, and editor, I believe.
Yeah, I think he does it all.
Yeah, he made this movie. His previous, I'd say maybe most well-known horror film, Black Coat's Daughter, really good. And also, and it's so funny because we were just saying that, like, this isn't what we think of when we like think about him, but he is Anthony Perkins' son. You know, Norman Bates from the OG Psycho, but he is, I love seeing that he has come into his own. He is not just, oh yeah, Psycho's son. No, he's like making incredible movies, and it's so cool to see. Yeah.
He's very talented.
Yeah. There's been a really fun story going around on social media, and I would love to hear it again, because I think it's so great. You getting to see Nicolas Cage for the first time in this movie, because he was kept secret from you until you filmed the scene where you see him.
Yeah, it was, it was very nerve-wracking. I just remember being so nervous that day. But yeah, Oz decided that he didn't want Nick and I to meet. He didn't want me to see any of the makeup test photos until this very sort of climactic scene that we interact for the first time. So I showed up to set that day, and they kept us very separate. They brought Nick onto set first and put him in the room, and then once they kind of had set up, I think they were rolling 3 cameras at the time, and they brought me up to the door, and I was just standing out this side of the store waiting for everyone to get ready, and then Oz just said, I'm gonna call action, and when you're ready, go in. And I opened the door, and you'll see tonight what I saw, and it was insane. I mean, not only are you doing a scene with Nick Cage, who's a fucking icon, and then you're across from him, and then he's not recognizable. He's completely transformed into this monster, and it was just one of the most surreal experiences I think I've ever had on a set.
And then was after he calls cut, you're not just hanging out, right?
Just like, okay. No, I was like, he's it's an incredibly challenging role, and I think it was good for us to sort of keep our space, but that was his last day of filming that day. So we wrapped, and we were doing some still photos at the end, and that's when he sort of I heard his voice for the first time, and he's like, "Hey, Micah, I'm a really big fan," and I was just like, "What the fuck?" I got you, buddy. Yeah, it was crazy.
Have you so were you not? Did you not get to hang out with real Nick Cage until marketing or the publicity?
No,
or
I have been. No, I haven't.
That was your only Nick Cage experience.
on the premiere, it'll be the red carpet, and I'll be like,
"Oh my god!"
That was it.
Did we even mention the heart rate thing?
That's the thing this sounds like such an urban legend in the making, but it is real, confirmed that when you saw him for the first time, your heart was beating so hard that it was picked up on your microphone, and you were able to measure how fast it was going.
Yes. Oh God. It's because they put your mic on your chest. It's stuck on your chest, and because my palms were sweaty, I'm just about to have a panic attack. And they cut that. They got it all.
That's what, as a horror fan, that's the stuff.
That is
what
the
you want
stuff.
to hear.
That's what we live for.
Yes.
It was amazing.
Exactly.
It really was.
Yeah, so I'm so excited for everyone to see this movie. Like I said, as soon as we saw it the first time, as soon as the credits rolled, we were like, we gotta see that thing again. But is there anything that people can keep in mind or just have running through their heads while watching this that might make them appreciate something more or understand it better, or should they just let it wash over them and let it be what it is?
I think you have to pay attention to everything. Like you said, I think when you finish this movie, you're gonna be like, wait, and you're gonna. That's how I felt when I read the script for the first time. I was like, oh my God, I thought we were going one direction, and then we took a complete left turn, and it made me immediately. I have to read it again because I missed all these things. So I just pay attention.
Yeah, we're so excited. We have our notebooks with us for a podcast episode. As soon as this movie comes out, we're gonna have a podcast episode about it and talk all about it. So I'm so excited. Micah, thank you.
Thank you all for
joining
coming.
us.
Thank you.
I saw there was something going on the line with you guys with the tickets. So you were holding them up to your eyes.
A picture of everyone doing that.
Yeah, in the background.